Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to I'll Just Do This for 5 minutes or 5 minutes of mindful creativity. We are continuing on from our last lesson, so we're still working with line, and I'm working still with that same Unipin pigment liner set. So these are fiber tip fine liners. I absolutely love working with them. They give a simple, bold, graphic look to your drawing. So let's get cracking. Let's find a blank page. Not so many these days. I've been practicing quite a lot. And I'm just going to take you back to that kind of branch that we were working on. We were doing very straight lines before. And then we were adding in these kind of branch shapes, very much mimicking the patterns and shapes of nature. So you should, with a bit of practice, have got to grips with these ones already. And all we're going to do now is we're going to add in a couple of elements. So one element at a time. So I've put in my main branch. This time, my other branches, I'm going to have them meet evenly on either side. This is what I've noticed in the garden with my own budding branches. And then just a very simple shape, this kind of squashed lemon, I suppose, for the leaf shape. So I'm going to pop those in now. You can hear the birds singing in the background. It's lovely. I find it really calming recording these for you, actually. Really enjoyable. Sorry if my hand's in the way. So once you've got that, I'm going to add a little bud at the top, which is essentially this shape, but just sort of doubled over. So a little bud. Gosh, it's looking very mathematical, this one. And then if you want to add a little bit more oomph to these, just a very thin line. Oops. Slightly curved if you can. Down the edge. Well, just make them pop a little bit. Make them a little bit more 3D. You've got to sort of imagine where the sun's coming from here, or kind of what angle they might be at. So that just makes them pop a little more. Obviously, that's quite straight and quite rigid. So I do recommend that you start to practice getting a bit of a wiggle into your lines, because that's really what these shapes look like in nature. So if I add a little bit more of a wiggle, it starts to look a little bit more like a budding branch. Please don't be afraid to repeat. Repetition is key. The more you do something, the more fluid, the more fluent you become. So practicing the same shapes over and over again is hugely beneficial. Okay, so there we go. There's a slight alternative with a little bit of a wiggle on the line. And then you may have slightly larger leaves to deal with. So I wanted to account for that. So again, put in that wiggly line, pull out those shapes either side, bit of a curl to them maybe, bit of a curve, because nothing's really straight in nature. Mankind invented the cube. And these ones, I'm going to load them up with slightly larger leaves, so just watch. A little bit bigger this time, and that line I'm going to allow it to fall inside my leaf, so like that. See how that comes together so beautifully? If you try and do these an element at a time, you'll get really good at all the elements. So the leaves are an element, the branches are an element. Think about them like that. Okay, and then if you want to take it even a step further, you can add a couple of little spines in there as well. Not necessary, but you can. It's an option. Lots of options here. I've also been looking at things like cow parsley. Cow parsley, you will know, well, for those of you that know me, is one of my absolute favourites. So for the cow parsley, same stalk, couple of little leaves maybe. They're not quite as jaggedy as I wanted them to be, that's better. And then we're going to pull out those strands. And instead of that leafy shape, we're just aiming for like a little flowery shape, just a little squiggle. We're drawing symbolically here, okay? So you're coding these elements so they can be simple and they will still communicate. So this still says cow parsley to me. And another variation on that, we played around with this last time, but I want to show you again, just to take it a step further. Can you tell what it is yet? So I've got a little seed. Seeds are very much part of my thinking a lot at the moment. And then I'm going to put a little ruffle in there. Can you tell what it is now? And then from there, I'm going to start to add in some little wishes. We had a play with this last time, but I wanted to take it a little bit further. So again, instead of the leaf shape or the little flower shape, little crosses. Just little crosses on the end of there to make our wishes. Loads of dandelions out at the moment in my garden. Absolutely gorgeous. Apparently very good for you. Should really do more with them. And then here I'm going to make a little wish just fly. Just for fun. So those are all for you to have a little play with. I wanted to introduce one last element. I'm slightly over time. I did say 5 minutes, but bear with. One last element. I'm just going to start to introduce the brush pen. I'm going to talk about this more in my next vid, so I won't get too far with it. But again, these simple structure shapes. And I'm just going to switch pen from my fine liner to my little brush pen. And this has got a lovely shape, this brush pen. So if you just press with the back of it, you can do some of those much simpler blossomy shapes, or seed head shapes, in fact. And you don't have to be too precise with this. It's incredible how easily this comes together. Probably got a few too many branches there, but that's all right. And then again, I might just let a few of my seeds drift off in the wind. So there we go. Have a practice with those and let me know how you get on, folks. I cannot wait to see what you get up to.